For the Investing News Network, I'm Brian McGovern, and today we have a very special discussion about cannabis retail operations with two extraordinary guests. Joining me today is Trevor Fencott, President and CEO of Fire and Flower Holdings, a Canadian cannabis retailer from Toronto with stores across the country. Trevor, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Also with us today, David Farris, VP of Sales and Marketing with Planet 13 Holdings, a cannabis retailer in Las Vegas, managing one of the biggest attractions in the cannabis retail space with your Las Vegas location. Thank you so much for your time as well, David.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Both of your companies have been able to rapidly establish yourselves as premier retail names in the cannabis industry. Today, I'm hoping to discuss the critical role that both of you and your entities play in the industry and the way that brand appeal is connected with the retail market. David, why don't we start with you? And often the US has been described as the Wild West of the cannabis industry. What are some of the ways that you have seen the evolution of consumer knowledge and interest when it comes to branded products?
Yeah. So, I've been with the company for almost 6 years now, and we've seen in Nevada specifically, the change from no legal market to medical market and now recreational market, and now since the recreational has hit in the U.S. and Nevada specifically as a state, it's the progression that we've seen over the past few years has been extraordinary. So we've seen on the retail side, the brand presence of products determine a lot of the sales, and it's a huge part in product focused dispensaries, which we feel like we are. Brands are setting the tone and creating the customer buzz. We do a lot of collaborations from a brand perspective in the market. We're doing constant new launches and drops and collaborations, exclusives, and we're really starting to mirror consumer goods in other markets. We're seeing the quality rise in a huge way, but the branding component of packaging, of how that brand gets advertised into the market is again going head to head with mature markets that have been around for hundreds of years. And so I think right now we're at the tipping point where we've really developed a respectable industry, and from a brand perspective, one that they're starting to create brands that will last for a long time coming.
Absolutely. Trevor, how about you? The Canadian market is very young still, but consumers know what they want. Can you maybe talk about the level of expertise and maybe sort of the wide range that you've seen in terms of brand new consumers coming in and people who are starting to give the legal products a try?
Yeah, so I mean, it's important to put out there though that Canadian regulated market is significantly different. So we have a lot of packaging restrictions and advertising restrictions. It always warms my heart being in the US where you could see a billboard with a product advertised on it, because to me that's an adult use product being properly advertised. In Canada, we have this sort of view of it as, well, we should treat it like alcohol and an adult use thing, but it's actually more like tobacco. So we don't have the same number of options. And for that reason, I think there's a lower level of brand awareness generally. So we see in our stores, we've got 86 stores across Canada. So it's actually really nice to be on this panel because they're very different perspectives on it, right? So for us, we have a lot of smaller stores and a broader geographic distribution. But what we're seeing is there's very little brand resonance with people. So if you look at kind of a 6-month churn, I think there's only one brand. It's Pure Sunfarms BC Pink Kush, which is one that typically cycles. And we're very, very data focused. So we mine a lot of this data for insights. And other than that, though, there's really not a lot of brand loyalty yet. And I think that that's part of it. When you come into a store, depending on the province, you can't interact with the product, right? Or we've intentionally taken an approach where everything has to be plain brown packaging. So how can product companies really compete there if it's brown package 1 or brown package 2? But we're optimistic that US example, particularly like Colorado, those early states, sort of showing us that, like, look, there isn't a harm in this if it's done appropriately. Our regulations are up for review next year federally, and we're hoping there's going to be a little more loosening of that so that people can make informed product choices and we can do those exciting things like collaborate with producers.
Now, Trevor, Fire and Flower has definitely created a vast retail network in Canada, but you guys recently announced plans for US expansion. I'm wondering if there's anything that jumps out to you in terms of takeaways that you've learned in your time in the Canadian market so far that you're hoping will channel through or will become valuable once US operations push through?
Yeah, so I mean that the Palm Springs location should flip over to Fire and Flower in the coming weeks, and so we're excited that is coming, and that'll be a brand store for us. We can't actually operate plant touching, but we do that through our affiliated company, American Acres. So we're excited to bring what we've learned competing in a hyper-competitive market. So Alberta has 1 per 8,000 people, so it's similar to Colorado, but we also compete with our own government, ironically. So we're really used to competition. And some of what we learned there is the value of customer service, customer loyalty programs, using tech to drive deeper customer loyalty and customer engagement amounts to higher basket sizes and customer lifetime value. So we're excited to bring those kinds of lessons to a market. It's very exciting to see the number of products that are available in that Palm Springs store that are from such a diverse group of vendors, and we're excited to do things like product partnerships, collabs, being able to actually just, again, do some simple things like advertise on billboards, or simple things like, direct to consumer e-commerce, branded cars. All that stuff is really exciting. So we're to take that next step.
Absolutely. David, being in one of the busiest and most modern cannabis markets to date, I'm sure that you have a good sense from the store and management of that for when products come through and they catch a buzz, or when maybe they don't pick up as quickly as they had thought originally. I'm wondering if you can share the ways that you have seen the product sort of hype evolve and transform into actual consumer interest, and when you can tell this is really going to pick up, or this is just not, this might not be as hot as we had thought originally, or as the producer had thought.
Yeah, so right now we're at this point where we are the largest dispensary in the world. We see the most visitors than anybody does see, and we really dictate the sales within our store. And we're going through an expansion from 40 to 80 register. Our largest dispensary floor from 17,000 square feet is doubling. The scale in which we're operating at this location is like 10 other stores or 15 other stores, depending on how you look at it. So the brand exposure from just the amount of customers that you're seeing is the challenge for these vendors and these brands is we did the hardest part, right? We brought them to the facility. We see thousands and thousands of people per day. So for us, we've done the hardest thing. Now from a brand perspective, it's all about carving off a percentage of those customers to buy their products, and it's competitive. I compare us to I would say, Walmart, right? We share the risk with the vendor. We expect that, we do also have, slotting fees. We have packages within the store to make sure, they're equipped to be successful. But we have an algorithm to make brands successful in this store. And we put brands on a global stage. As people travel to Las Vegas, they remember those products. We have an experiential model, and, not only do they take pictures at our facility, but they love taking pictures of their products and sharing that with their friends and family. So, again, there's boxes that we have to check for us to, consider bringing on any vendor within our store. But as long as they check those boxes and do what we've put together as far as making those brands successful, it's a slam dunk, and it's almost guaranteed at this point that, you know, they'll hit a certain level of sales. And so, you know, I come from a creative approach, as far as almost operating an agency within our operation, and we do everything from helping those brands with social media, photography, exposure within the store and outside the store, and on our menus. So we've really dialed in what it looks like to have a successful product launch. And yeah, we're really excited where you know, some of that maturity of just, you know, that experience that we've been able to have with the amount of launches that we've done, and very diverse products. You know, we have anything from a infused macaroon to a, you know, soda to a, you know, anything you could think of, really, you know, we have here. And so we've learned a lot, and we've launched a lot of really cool products, and we know kind of what works within our store, and everything is a very experiential, recreational customer. And it's just really important to know, you know, if you're a brand, what store is the right fit for you. And you know, we're in the wholesale model as well. We have almost a 90% penetration rate in Nevada, but not every store is a good fit for us. And it's important to know what synergies you have, and what's exciting for that consumer, and you know, pair those up, and it's usually a marriage for success.
I see. David, I'm wondering if you can expand on the type of store. Do you have maybe a breakdown of how you see the different types of cannabis stores, and, you know, speak on that synergy, or you know, how do you recognize that when it makes sense for a product to go with you guys or with someone else?
Yeah. So for us, it's shelf, you know, shelf products are super important to be polished. And we have you know, the way we've displayed our store is a high-end retail model where we work with vendors, and we have a visual merchandiser that builds out displays and does a lot of customization. So the product itself has to stand out to the consumer. There's a lot of great products in the market that just have terrible branding and terrible, you know, it's competitive in this location, right? You need to really stand out to the consumer. So, you know, that's one of the first things. But the number one thing that we say is the product quality has to be, you know, at a high level. At this location, that becomes an expectation. They're not looking for low end value products. They're looking for what is the best in Vegas, what is the best to offer, what is the best product I can have. And so we make sure we want to meet that demand. And you know, we not only have to make sure the product hits those metrics as far as quality, the packaging stands out, and they also do the proper marketing to make sure that customers are coming into Planet 13 and asking for these products, right? And that's the big thing we try to communicate with our vendors, is make sure that they have the right plan, launch plan. We will do our part, you have to do your part. And again, it's the style. So you know, some styles are value dispensaries, some are high-end dispensaries, some, you know, sell a lot of edibles, and some don't, right? And I think it's just knowing your geographic location, your consumer, the style of that consumer, and really the I guess, you know, what the opportunity is. We have products that come to us that if they really dialed into the numbers, they're less than 1% of our sales, right? So to really focus in on a certain SKU, it doesn't make sense for us, because we'll never achieve, you know, the level of sales that we need to out of that product. So just understanding, you know, geographic, you know, quality of product, does the brand, you know, relate to the retail brand, and does it make up enough of the pie for it to actually move the needle and make sense for that dispensary to pick up?
Wow, that's very interesting. Trevor, have you noticed that kind of store distinction in the Canadian market?
Yeah, no, that absolutely we have noticed. And so, you know, it's no secret that in December we actually completed an acquisition of a chain called Friendly Strain here in Ontario, and that's a large chain. It's probably old school, so it's 25-year operating history. Noticed about Fire Flower being data driven is different groups of cannabis consumers that are the types of consumers that all retailers would love to have in their store, right? So we focus on serving those with the best possible service. What we noticed was that Fire and Flower as a brand really appealed strongly to 4 out of those that say 10. And with some good marketing and rolling up your sleeves, you could probably get another one in there. But there's going to be certain parts of the cannabis demographic that our brand doesn't appeal to. And so we made a conscious decision to become a multi-banner operator, because just as cannabis is not just for one segment of the population, it cuts a very broad democratic sort of swath. It's we have a saying in Canada that's 25% of the people that answered the government survey that said yes, they consume cannabis. So that's probably a low number, whoever's answering the phone that day. But it's 25% not just of one group, it's 25% of police officers, of doctors, of teachers. Like it's everyone. So really, for us, it was important to not have the one size fits all approach. So we have Fire and Flower as mass premium. Friendly Stranger is, of course, again, much more grassroots. We know that the customers there skew older. They're prepared to pay for it as well, the premium. We have another banner called Happy Days with a Z, and that sort of skews much with the smaller markets, and it is much more of a no-frills sort of offering. So again, looking at the numbers and drilling into the data, it was important for us to address the largest possible market, because we have a different model. We're sort of spread out everywhere. To service the broadest market possible, it was important to have different brands that appeal to different customer expectations and
Yeah, absolutely. Now, as a last thing, I'm hoping both of you can share a little bit of the strategy and take us behind the scenes for the perspective of a retailer when a new product comes up. We have a lot of companies that are putting out very exciting new types of products. In Canada, there's a lot of discussion about the potential uptick for beverages to really catch on this summer. Trevor, maybe we'll start with you. Let's throw the hypothetical. You get a call from a partner saying, we got this new, very exciting product. We want the full red carpet rollout. What does that look like from your end? How does that process go? And take us through the steps of when a new branded product goes out into the market.
Yeah, I think because of the market set up, it's actually much more important to do in store, because that's really all you have. There's no external marketing. So we have 250,000 people in our Spark Perks customer engagement program. So that direct dialogue with the customer is going to be extremely valuable and important to product partners, because we can have a direct dialogue. We can ask them, what do you like about this product? What don't you like? We control all parts of that customer journey. And also in store, we started as kind of looking at what the best in breed retail was, and then put cannabis in there rather than kind of the other way around. So we viewed initially things like Walmart, Target, Kroger's, they all view store as media. Like that's next gen, current gen that way. And we took that very seriously. So all of our stores are very digitally enabled. And so, what's going to appear on the screen, what time of day this product should be launched, what demographic we should be trying to go for to pre-launch this product or pre-seed that information. So it's almost the reverse. It's really, really important to have a retail partner in Canada for a launch, because you can only really advertise inside the walls of an age-gated environment. So for us, having that Spark Perks list is extremely important. So we would plan with them all the way from pre-launch. It would also depend for us. We have a product velocity rating, like a power ranking for product turn and high velocity. We would set them up with a plan of how you need to get into the top, 10, of store velocity, so that you can predictably sort of rely on inventory to replan. So we would set them up with that. It would depend on who the producer was in terms of, like any other retailer, what their bench strength was generally. So it'd be very different for sort of, I'm going to say like a micro grow or like a specialty grower to come in versus sort of an established licensed producer that had a good track record with us of diverse product offerings, that had always stood by us on price protection, all the normal indicia of a good retail partner. That gives them a sort of a power ranking, which allows them to access different parts of the store and different parts of our. What we know incontrovertibly is what they think about this product is going to be hugely important. Because we don't have brands yet, people don't come in and say, well, I want Coke or Pepsi, and if you don't have it, I'm leaving. Because we don't have that, that person's individual attention to a product and product knowledge, the PKs, is going to be tremendously customer purchasing behavior.
course. David, over to you. Same question.
Oh, somehow muted. There we go.
No worries.
Our biggest thing with bringing on a product is the fact that again, my buying team makes a decision, is this product of the greatest quality, right? And we have these boxes we have to check. Upon that, we do a launch package. This is something that we put together with a strategy session. It's myself, my director of procurement, my marketing manager. It's really the whole team to make this a successful launch. We actually meet with their representatives. We spend about 30 minutes to an hour really strategizing, how do we foresee this happening? We come in with a blueprint and really customize it based on their strengths and their weaknesses, right? Some people do not have quality social presence where we do, and we kind of fill those gaps as needed. We're one of the only companies that I know of that actually has a full dedicated classroom and a whole training department, about 5 individuals that focuses on new employees, ongoing training, launches, the whole 9 yards. So what we'll do the day prior is we make sure we have samples for the entire bud tending staff. They have a full training session. It's an all-day event. We have about 120 bud tenders at this location specifically. They go through the training one-on-one on behalf of the vendor. We like the vendor's voice to be heard, and they can explain what the product is, why it's special, and we contribute and assist with any selling points and things of that nature. And then upon launch, we really focus on, we do have a significant online ordering platform. So, making sure the menu looks correct, the menu photos, we have a text blast and email blast that goes out daily with specials, promotions, features, kind of a what's new type of thing for the day. We have a huge inventory that just sits by their phones every morning at 9 a.m. and waits for that phone to ring. So we make sure we feature them as well. We have pop-up presence in the store, and we also have about 50 different TVs within the facility where we highlight their product as it being launched in the store. But again, this is a multi-pronged effort and approach. We've done things where, we have about 200 wrapped cabs in the market, in Vegas, and we've done things where we've done bigger collaborations, smaller collaborations, just what a launch looks like. But it's again, I tell vendors all the time, if you can dream it, we can do it. It's just, how much effort, how much time, how much money do we want to spend into this launch? And does it make sense for both parties? And one thing that I've tried to, be very transparent is it has to make sense. And we have to set those goals ahead of the launch. And so we can look back a week after launch and say, has this launch been successful? And what do we need to do differently, to make this more of a successful product? So it's really structure of just, bringing that brand to market. And again, making sure that brand actually has a fighting chance and the category isn't, extremely small within the store. So we've developed kind of a package that we offer to our vendors, and they can either want top of the line package where we get hands-on. They have all the, the management executive of the teams to make sure we do a successful launch, or it could be as simple as, we check in their product and it goes on our shelves and it competes head to head against others. So it could be as competitive as you choose from a brand perspective.
I see. That's fascinating. Well, we're going to wrap it up there. I want to thank you both for your time and your expertise. It's been a great conversation.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me again. Appreciate it.
Right.
Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more top expert interviews. For the Investing News Network, I'm Brian McGovern, and we'll see you next time.